the New Testament, New Covenant prophecies about the end times are a continuation of the prophecies in the Hebraic Israeli prophets from Isaiah through Malachi, Daniel, Zechariah, and so on. In Matthew 24, verse 29. The whole teaching is about the end times, but I want to put, then he has the core of the core is verse 29 through 31. You ready? Let's look at it. Miyad achrei צרת הימים ההם תחשך השמש והירח לא יגיע אורו וכוכבים ייפלו מן השמיים וכוחות השמיים יזדעזעו. It says, and immediately after, everybody say after? Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will become darkened and the moon will not give its light and the stars will fall from the heavens and the powers of heaven will be shaken. Verse 30. אז יראה אות בן האדם בשמיים ואז יספדו כל משפחות הארץ ויראו את בן האדם בא עם ענני השמיים בגבורה ובכבוד רב. And says, and then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the heavens, and all the families of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven in great power and glory. Amen. One more verse 31. והוא ישלח את מלאכיו בשופר גדול ויקבצו את מחיריו מארבע רוחות מקצות השמיים עד קצותם. And it says, and he will send forth his angels with the sound of the great trumpet shofar blast, and they will gather his elect from the four corners of the earth and from the ends, from one end of heaven to the other. Now here's what I want you to see about this. There's two ways to understand this. What is he doing? What's happening here? What I want to tell you is that Jesus is teaching the Bible here. Can you imagine if you asked me what I thought about the end times and I didn't teach from the Bible? What would you think of me? You would think that would be pretty weird. Well, that's how most of you think of Yeshua. He's not teaching from the Bible here. He's having a new age experience. I'm being sarcastic just to help you to think, okay? They say, Jesus, what's going to happen in the end times? And he folds his legs, starts doing Hindu meditation, and goes, one day the stars will fall from the heaven, and the sign of the Son of Man will be, That's not what he's doing, folks. He's teaching the Bible. And in those 3 verses right there, you've got about 10 quotes from the Israelite prophets. Let's look at it. When he says, after the tribulation of those days, he's quoting Daniel chapter 12 and Jeremiah chapter 30. That's 2 quotes from the Bible. He's saying to them, don't you remember what Daniel said here and what Jeremiah said here? And then he goes on and he says, and the sun will be darkened and the stars will be shaken. He's quoting there from the book of Isaiah chapter 13 and from the book of Joel chapter 2. He's already got 4 quotes from the prophets in the first verse here. And then he goes on to say, and then you will see the Son of Man in the heavens and all the families of the earth will mourn. What's he quoting there? Zechariah chapter 12. And then he goes on to say that you will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds, in which he's quoting there Daniel chapter 7. And then you go on and he says, and he will send out his trumpets, his angels with the trumpet blast. He's quoting there from Isaiah chapter 27. What is he doing? He's giving a Bible teaching here. Is that making a difference to you? He's just pulling out they didn't have the New Testament then, they were writing it. He pulled out the Bible that they had and he started quoting. What was he quoting from? Obviously from the prophets. He said, you want to hear? And what he's saying is this: obviously, the prophecies about the end times are written in the Bible in the prophets. It's obviously there. So let me just help you organize your thoughts. Let me show you the order. Let me show you how to read it. And he's saying this is how you read the Hebrew prophets of Israel, with this perspective to understand that they're talking about me and my coming and my kingdom in the future. And he's giving us a pattern for understanding the Hebraic prophets. Did you get that? A little bit of a shock, huh? But now listen, if you see it that way, What you understand is that when you read things in 1 Thessalonians and the book of Revelation and 2 Peter, that they are also continuing what Jesus taught, and he was continuing what Isaiah and Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Zechariah and Daniel taught. And therefore, you understand it in context that the new covenant prophecies are a continuation of the Israelite prophets, not a totally different subject.